Welcome back, my fellow aggressive learners. In this episode, we shall be talking about media query. Media query, right? Yep. Media query. Now, media query is sorry. We're going to wipe off all this, right? Let's wipe off all this so we have some level of clarity. Let's get some level of clarity. So I'm going to clean all this, all right? And then I'm going to come here. Of course, we are leaving this because we all know what we're doing here, right? Good. So media query, when you talk about responsiveness, responsiveness, a responsive design. Let me use the word responsive design, web design. You start talking about CSS, right? Good. So you talk about, I think one of the things you focus most there is mobile first, all right? So the first thing you want to do when you're doing a media query responsive design is to first of all ensure that the mobile view is highly responsive first. Of course, we're going to be seeing what we refer to as mid width, mean width, max width, all right, and a whole lot of that. All right, we shall be defining the terminology for media query and a whole lot of that, right? So now let's get started. But before we get started, I just want to define a div tag here. Inside that div tag, I want to have a heading and then a heading. Yes, I want to call it. This is what a media responsive design. Sorry, don't mind my design. I'm gonna leave it like that, right? Good. P. So I'm going to Lorem 30. Good. So haven't done Lorem 30. Sorry, please. Let me do this. Yes, good. So we're going to play around with this. Now you can see nothing is happening. So we're going to play around with it. I'm going to show you how to do mobile first. All right, how to make this design to be mobile responsive. So let's go ahead and give these guys names. Let me give this guy a class. Let me call it container, for instance. All right, so I'm going to call it container, and then I'm going to call this guy class header. Good, and I'm going to call this class item. All right, just for the sake of lesson. All right, so I'm going to give this guy a specific background color. All right, I'm going to give it a background color and a width, and all right, good. I'm going to give it a background color and a width. So I'm going to give this guy this div, the container. Let me call it container. I'm going to give it a background color of what? Of red. Of course, you all know I already love red. So, of course, you may like orange. And then I'm going to give the letters. I'm going to give the, I'm going to give it a specific width. All right. So the width, I'm going to make it, call it 80 pixel, right? Good. 80 pixel. Good. I think it should be, I think 400 pixels should be okay. 400 pixels should be okay. Yeah, 400 pixels should be okay. And then I want whatever that is inside to be centralized. So let me do margin top button 0 auto. Yes, thank you. Exactly what I wanted. So top bottom margin, I don't want anything. Left and right, I want it to be auto. All right. So I can choose to give it top bottom, but I don't need that. I don't need that. Now I want to go ahead and play around with the size of this and play along with the size of this. Right. Good. I'm going to define head H1. Right. So H1, I'm going to give it a color of what? Of white, which is what? Hashtag FFF, right? Beautiful. And then I'm going to give this guy the P guy. Remember, we called it item. I can use item, I can use P, all right? So we're going to give it a color of The black is okay. We're going to increase the font size. Font size, font size 30 pixel, right? Thank you, thank you. And we're going to increase the font size of this one. Font size to 40 pixel, right? Good. Remember, you can use rems, no wahala, no wahala. So now, look at this. You can see, you can see. So I'm gonna allow this width to full the screen. Let me allow it to full the screen. I think that is what you should do. Let's allow it to full the screen. How do we make it full the screen? We do 100 what? 100%, right? We do 100%. So doing 100% would practically allow us to what? To have a full screen. So now, like I said, let's try and do something, right? Now that it's full width, let's do inspect, right? Sorry. Of course, if you do inspect, look at this. You can see your mobile size. You can see. I can also click on this, and then when you are increasing the size of your, look at this, mobile responsive. So I can get to pick an iPhone, let's say iPhone SE. You can see, and all that. I can pick iPhone 12 Pro like that. I can pick Galaxy Pad. Sorry. Now let me pick a responsive design. Thank you. So you can see as I'm increasing, as the size of your screen, let's say you're using a mobile phone, whatever it is. I don't know what is it, but whatever you're using. So we're going to find a way to design this thing so that you can see that the size of the letter is still the same and the color filled the width of the screen, the width of the screen. So we're going to define what happened when it is at a particular width, right? And we're going to change what happened when it is at a bigger screen. So we're going to make such decision, right? So, and to do that, we're going to define the syntax for media, for writing media query, all right? And then we define the mean height or the max height, or the mean width or the max width, whichever one we decide, all right? So let's go ahead quickly and see how we can implement this, right? So I'm going to close this for the meantime. So we're going to do something. So the syntax for media, writing media query or responsive design is media. Of course, look at it here, it's already showing itself screen, but however, you can do, and you define the width. Sorry, you can define mean width, right? You can define max width or whichever one, but you can't define both. All right, you can also define both, right? So I do width. Let me do 600 pixel, or let me do 576, or let me do 600 pixel, 620 pixel. What this means is that this is the, when it gets to this minimum height, all right, watch this. Once it gets to a size of 620, the color, okay, sorry, let's implement what we are doing here. So after you've written this, right, sorry, I made a mistake. I'm supposed to show you something. So let's override this. So basically what you do here is you are overriding things. So let's take this content and see. You can say, okay, once it gets to this minimum height, this color or whatever, you can override any property you want here. So let's go ahead and say, okay, once it gets to this height, we don't want red again, we want blue, right? We don't want red again, we want blue, right? And we don't want it to be 100% again, we want it to be 50%, for instance. And then we still want it to be center, so let's leave it. We're not overriding it. Still, the center is still is going to still be centered, all right? So now it is what? Now this is below below 620 pixels. So as you're moving, once you get to 620, automatically the rules you define will apply for container only. Nothing happened to every other thing. Now let's go to that thing we did. Let's go to inspect and see what happens. Inspect, inspect. So you can see, right? Remember we did our choosing our responsive design, right? So you can see. So this is what you can see. Once we travel beyond 600, right? 620, boom, the color will change to red, right? So this is how responsive design. Let me remove this from here. Perhaps it will give you a glimpse of what's going on. Now you can see, look at your width showing up here. Look at it. You can see it is 516, 585, 590, 600, 610, 612, 620. Boom, voila, it has happened. So minimum width, so 620 all the way to 1000, whatever it is still going to be showing what? It is still going to be using this color. Let's go ahead and replace this. Let's do change the font size of the heading. So we're going to do H1, H1. So we are changing H1. H1, well, let's just change font size. Remember, the font size here is 40. So let's change, since it is going to a bigger screen, or should I say small screen, let's change it to 20 pixel and see what happens, right? So now, let's open this. We are on red, right? Look at it. You can see the size, right? You can see the size. So we are going to travel down to 620 pixel. Minimum width at which it will display 620 pixel. You can see your color have started, the font size of the H1 has already changed, right? So that's how responsive designs happen. Let's go ahead and make it maximum max width and see. Max width and see what happens to the design. Now let's get back to our browser. So originally, let's close this. This is the original width of the design. This is the original width of the design. So we went to our browser, inspect, we started dragging this thing. Watch the way from 1000, from the highest width of your screen down. Watch it. We're coming down to 600. The moment we get to that maximum width, right? 620, boom, voila. That means you're coming to a mobile version. It's quickly reduced size and a whole lot of things. So you can understand the difference between min width and max width. All right. I bet you should play around with that and then you get some view on what's going on. So of course you can design what happens when your screen becomes smaller. You can change how you want the view to be. Remember we say font size that pixels have absolute value, all right? And whatever you want it to change when you are actually on a smaller screen, you can actually define them here. You can define them here. So let's go ahead and close this and then see what's going on. So we are going to do remove this, all right? So we're going to, okay, yeah, it's okay. So let's also override this one, the size here. So anything you don't override, what it means is that you want it to remain the way it is. So, but whatever you want to override, you must define it here. So you can do color yellow. Sorry, forgive me. You can do your hashtag and all that. So, or color red. You can do all that, right? So if I am to start increasing, you can see it's gone. If I come back to mobile device, let's also reduce the what? The font size. The font size, let's reduce it to what? 15 pixel. Remember it is what? 30 pixel before. So now that I'm in mobile version, you can see the way it is showing. If I start increasing, it will go back to what it was. So if somebody who is using desktop enter, he sees this. Somebody who is using a smartphone comes, he sees this. Let's release this to what it was, 100%. So somebody who is using this, so you can see, right? You can see. You can see. So this is what a responsive design will do for you. You can play with it on an image. You can change anything, right? You can change absolutely anything. Don't worry. We are going to practicalize that with our project that we design. We're going to see how to apply responsive design to the project we designed. And then I believe you get a better understanding of what is going on. However, one thing you need to hold in your mind is that when you are designing a responsive design, make sure you do what? Mobile first. All right. So on that note, I want to say congratulations for being patient up to this end. And I want to say see you in the next tutorial.